Small, Support Local, and Connect with Neighbors. And it's going to be held the second Saturday of every month, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Triangle Park. Tuesday, September 16th, is the next WRC meeting, and you'll have the opportunity to meet Max Rogers' replacement, if that's possible. And that's the Warrington Revitalization Committee. And that's 5:30 to 6:30 at the Lexington Community Center on Old Quarry. Then on Saturday the 27th, it's the next installment of the Best of Navy Point, and it's karaoke. So it's just,
what day is that?
It is Saturday the 27th, and it is from 5:30 to 7. I wasn't messing up my time here. 5:30 to 7. It's on both the Facebook pages and next door. But come on up and sing. It's it's a chance to win the golden mic and just have a good time. If you're not going to sing, come up and laugh and bring a chair, bring a beverage, and just come out and have a good time.
Was that at Triangle?
And that will be at Triangle Park, Saturday the 27th.
Okay.
And then the next Neighborhood Watch meeting will be October 6th, and that's when you will be electing a new person to lead the Neighborhood Watch. So that's what we've got going. So are there any other events, anything happening? And we have guests from Bayou Davenport here tonight who lead their, is it Patrick and Lisa, who lead their Neighborhood Watch. Any other events that we should know about? Fun, otherwise? All right.
We don't have events yet.
Okay.
We've got a pretty active group. Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to the commissioner. I'd like to ask that we do wait to be called upon before you jump in and speak. And then if we start to go long on a particular topic, it's almost like a one-on-one, and we may ask you to table that and continue the conversation afterwards. So, Commissioner.
So, Ted sent me an email request at first to answer a few questions. Some of them, well, honestly, I think half of them had to do with the Sheriff's Department, Ted. So I spent a little time with Deputy Commander Hobbs today. And then I wrote...
Just so everyone's aware, what I shared was neighbors had expressed to me concern that when they make a call, quote unquote, nothing happens. And so I shared that with Commissioner, who shared it with Chief Hobbs and Neighborhood Specialist Rivera.
So I normally don't, and if you want to jump in, if anything, but I'll just tell you, I spent quite a bit of time today with Deputy Commander Hobbs on the phone. And then I'm going to go through about 11 different items quickly, and if we get through all those, a lot of things that I know have interest in our area and around District 2. But the first thing that you had asked for was, is you believe there's more break-ins in the area. Hobbs tells me that there's no more significant break-ins than there has been in Navy Point in the past. That's what he's telling me. As far as the drug houses that you asked about, there's 2 that they know. They went in those houses in February, and they're keeping an eye on those houses. I think most people in Navy Point know those houses, but they are under surveillance. They have no further reason, I'm being told at this point, to go back in. The guy the other day, I guess, that stole the chainsaw in Navy Point and ended up getting vigilante justice at some point over in Crystal Beach Haven. I guess that's the best way to say it. I don't really, I don't know exactly what house was stolen, but that is under investigation. Obviously, I was told that the guy that stole the chainsaw admitted to stealing it and was arrested. But there's an investigation on the extent of what happened there. I know Mel, you had sent me something on that, and I asked about it, but it's really up to the Sheriff's Department to deem if what happened there was appropriate or not. Okay, so obviously, I will tell you the guy that admitted to it, I actually had seen him riding a bicycle through my neighborhood. So I know he'd been stalking houses looking for, opportunities of crime. Okay, let's talk about alleys for a second. So I talked to Public Works sometimes as the alleys. Some of these alleys originally I was told were supposed to be maintained by the utility companies. Then the county took those over. I am in conversations right now with what you asked between Public Works and basically FPL and some of the other ones to see what the right fit is. Obviously, you guys have a very unique neighborhood with the alleys in the back, and they don't get maintained like the parks and other things, because, unless they're going through them, but we've got to figure out what the right answer is with that, because when I went to Jamie Higgin on that, he's trying to tell me that basically they should be the responsibility of utility companies, because the easement, but the county has maintained them in the past, so more to follow. I think they're only getting maintained just 1 second, Mel. I think they're only getting maintained about twice a year now. Is that what everyone believes?
They know it more often than that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mel. You started first.
I was just gonna say, this is the same thing over and over, so I don't care if it's Jamie Higdon or Wes or who it is, it's county ROW. And it is county-owned roads going all the way back to our original platting in 1944. And the last that I had paid any attention to this was when we were battling to save the alleys over at Adore. And then there was the situation with the thing over on Grieve Circle. And at that time, Wes said that they were drawing up a map of the alleys. Now and I haven't paid any attention to it since then.
The one at Grieve Circle was very complicated.
Yeah, well.
Because the lines and the surveys were wrong.
It was a crooked survey is what it was. It was a corrupt survey, but the county has always maintained them. I know, I was fighting for that for you guys, but I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't legally have any reason, I couldn't insert myself.
And the guy put a fence on your
They just
property.
take the corner off and you could be able to get through there.
Yeah.
But it's just, real rough.
It was the same survey game that they played over at Adore by pretending they had a survey, that all of those fences across the alley were wrong. Mike, it's a game as old as the hills, and they weren't right. And they cut down a bunch of trees because of it too.
With that, let me just highlight on Kurt, because I know a lot about that story. The guy that built the fence there did have the survey, because we went back and forth.
Yeah, it's a
looking at it.
bad survey, just like the one over on Adore.
But at that point, it has to be, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but that becomes a legal suit now. That's
Right.
outside of
Yes.
my purview, because, and the county could be wrong. I'm not defending that the county was right, but when I looked at that, and the man that built the fence, he's saying, I was authorized this by the county. This was the line, I built the fence, and then I understand, sir, you disagree with that. There's obviously, this is nothing I can resolve, it's gotta be
No.
litigated. And so,
No, and that's
but
what
I
I'm
hear
saying,
what you're
people were
saying.
calling me saying, can you please get Clark Partington and intervene on this, because it's the same thing that happened over at Adore. I didn't have any legal, I can't get into people's surveys over there.
Bill, I see your, go ahead.
My deal is, I don't care what the survey says. 70 years of usage trumps the survey.
He's right.
And that's it in a nutshell. And I've seen lots of alleys in Navy Point, but they do tend to follow a curve or a straight line or whatever, and the poles are in the alley, the water meters are in the alley, and now they're in the middle of the alley where this house is. And I don't have a dog in the hunt, and I firmly agree that utilities ought to be charged for it. And not code enforcement, roads and bridges will be in Navy Point, and they will really get to the alleys. But if you look at what they have to do now, it's amazing they ever cut our alleys. What the easements that they've got, it's unbelievable. But when the weather moderates a little bit on them, they will come through and do it.
And I've asked, the extent of what Public Works has to do with they don't have enough people in Public Works. I'm not making excuses for the county. That's one of the departments, we need more people. They're doing a good job. They should maintain them. The surveys, I think, honestly, y'all would have to be litigated. I've talked to legal about it. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the county. What you say, Bill, is really gotta be in a judicial document that identifies who's got the right. And I'm not trying to irritate anyone here. I agree with what you're saying, but
But
We
Mike,
didn't really do
he
planning
is
and zoning real
right.
well in this county for a very long time.
He's right on the customary use, and one more thing and I'll shut up, because you might not know this. Tim Day at that time said, when I was dumping thousands of dollars on that stupid alley situation over on, with a door, that it was absolutely crystal clear that the easiest thing the county needed to do was go in and survey all of the alleys, mark them as Bill said, because they are clearly customary use by now, and then enter that, put it before a judge, and get it locked down as what our alleys are. And I mean, to me, that's just the simplest thing. Instead of having this war of attrition, and really, it's not fair if people can't afford attorneys or they don't know what they're doing for builder developers, which is what Mr. Reb is. He is a builder developer for D.R. Horton. So he knows all the ins and outs, and he came in there like a freight train, and all of those people lost their alley and they lost their trees because of it, and it's not right.
Okay, here's what I'll do, because I can tell there's some, and I'm not gonna make a promise, because this is more complicated than just giving you a straight answer, but what I will do is I'll get Tim, he's gonna have to go through developmental services and the county administrator and legal, and look at all options, and within the next couple of weeks, and see what we can do. I don't know what else I can say other than that's what I can do.
Yeah, he put a corner on it where it really isn't.
Everybody just take
It's a curve. So if he just ease that, it'll be much,
The fence is still there on your property though.
but it's the corner,
Well, our garage goes.
the wood fence?
Yeah, did they?
No, I got a chain link
For the
fence.
house.
Yeah,
Their
and
fence.
then you put another side on his yard.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I think of something else. The fence that we put in, it came in with the survey. Tim said that we would have to go to legal, but maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but I thought it was. Okay, I'm sorry, sir, you're next.
Just quickly shed some light on this, because I've run into it in other counties. These surveys, these older neighborhoods like Navy Point, they're meets and bounds surveyed off of a benchmark,
Yep.
GIS benchmark. Your newer surveys are done GPS and satellite. So just like flying or run line versus a flat chart versus a globe. So you run into these 2 and 3 feet, and sometimes as much as 10 feet, depending on, somebody starts at a benchmark over here, up here by the Chico, and somebody else starts down here at Bower Road, wherever they meet, there's gonna be disagreement of 50 feet. I had fenced in, well, my dad fenced some in on one of those, and it was, his uncle and neighbor half a mile away were arguing over whose 20 feet that was. It showed up our backyard down the street. And neighbor Washington County, same thing, you're gonna have to move all this because, it's like when satellite come back, it's like, actually, I'm about 40 feet into your yard, but we just used the fence that's been here for 100 years.
Right.
Well, you hope.
None of the neighbors in family generation, the outside owner, the outside person coming in bar,
I don't wanna make light of this, but I can tell you in my own neighborhood, they literally I had to work with DCUA to take a small area because one lady at the end of it and the former commissioner announced SOE's property, they lost and literally we can't even get DCUA truck down. It's hard to believe, man. So the county had to come up with literally basically a spot that was easement because she could close off the end of the lakeside so the DCUA truck could turn around. And who would have thought that we'd have to deal with that? But this is the kind of stuff that happens. The judge had a rule on that. It's been going on for several years. I have another lady in Myrtle Grove, can't understand this tree issue. But anyways, I get it. I'll go back and do my homework and try to get some resolution. So I promise, yes.
103 and 105 Southeast Circle have buildings that if that's the alley where they've
What
got
was
it
it
on
again?
103 and 105 Southeast Circle.
Okay.
Have buildings that may well be in the alley if that survey is what they're gonna go with. So they built in the alley, which I don't think they would have done.
Nope.
Customary use, again, like I said, trumps.
Well, okay, let me go to number 8, so just to give you another example, the skate center here. So the old skate center wants to be an ice skating center. So they went to DRC this week, and I spent literally almost half my day yesterday trying to keep that from making that deal happen. As you know, on the side of that, there's a shelter, you know, a storage shelter place, right? Well, under current code, it's within less than 10 feet, so they wanted them to tear it down. So this is how screwed up this is. So, you know, the state law basically originally said, I don't know if you watch our meetings, sometimes there's stuff that goes on, but where developmental services doesn't have to come to the board for certain recommendations. That's crazy now. Well, here's the other thing, anything that goes to the Board of Adjustments for a variance and gets stopped won't come to the board. So, the skating rink, which has been there since 1964, that, you know, had a fire, wants to put an ice skating rink in there. And I think they purchased the car wash that's basically blight right now, they're gonna make that parking. Well, that deal almost got hijacked because of the variance. All they need to go is to ask the Board of Adjustments for the variance, because it's been there since 1964. So I got with Developmental Services yesterday, and we're working, I think they're still gonna move forward with that project. But if they would have called my office yesterday, that thing would have fallen apart. And fortunately, I think it's on life support now. But some of these things that you just said, like I think it was Bill, if that property's been there before these were in, they don't have, as long as it doesn't change into something else, they can stay like that. And now if they change and it's a new business, they gotta go to the Board of Adjustments and request a variance request. So that's the rules. And we would know it. Yes, Kevin?
So I've walked these properties, and they use stakeout math when they were surveying. Stakeout math means couldn't find any stakes, so we go looking for some a little ways away. The first leaps and bounds survey of any note whatsoever in Navy Point was what Pless Landing actually paid to have done. Like that, hands down, the best survey ever done on any property, and they ended up basically.
It's not true. I had mine done.
Well, yes. Mel's was done the same way, so yeah, okay. But with that survey, they basically surveyed all the way out to the stakes, the monuments that are on Gulf Beach Highway, Navy Boulevard, and several others. But when you look at the property, not near Christine's, but the other side of that alley, their plat has X number of feet on the side of that property, just like the property next to them. What that means is the center of the street is now 19 feet closer to their front door than it should be because they've lost property. But it's going to be fun. It'll be fun.
I feel like I'm doing a lot of work for developmental services all the time, but you're correct. Okay, I'll just say that you're correct on that. The answer is we need to have everyone needs to understand. How do I say this? With the property that wasn't actually properly surveyed at a certain time, obviously I think we need to go back and look at all of that. Property owners that are in these kind of positions need to know where their lines are before they get in a situation where someone's built a fence on their property. And I'm not sure the county's done a really good job at that. I really just don't think we have.
And I just want
especially
to
that it's not a problem for new communities, it's the older communities that we're dealing with.
But Mike, I just want to make sure, I'm not saying that there aren't any properties in Navy Point that perhaps did get surveyed incorrectly, because Dave Glaze, my surveyor, went, I'll charge you extra for Navy Point. It's a bitch to get Navy Point surveyed right. However, on that situation, for instance, at Pless Landing, their survey was wrong. And there were two property owners that went and got new surveys that demonstrated that their surveys had not indeed been incorrect. So all I'm asking, I'm begging, just please don't assume, because a D.R. Horton guy, and because this was a Horace special, right?
No, I know.
That just because they say these people's surveys are wrong, that doesn't mean they are.
I will tell you this, I don't sit on the DRC, but if constituent comes to me with a complaint about something in DRC, I immediately take action, and ask questions. And I'll go back and do the same thing here. I mean, there's all kinds of development going on. Most of the stuff that we deal with though, like in this, is in older communities, it's not in new communities, where there's an overlay on someone else's property and someone built something. So, but, okay, I got several things I wanna go over. Is there anyone that wants to say anything else on that before I move it? We're gonna be here till 9 o'clock, that's okay. I've been on for this. Okay, did anyone go to the South Navy Boulevard project? Okay, that's moving along fairly well. Any comments anyone wants to make, good, bad, or ugly?
I was disappointed in the removal of the little bit more active speed control devices.
Oh, you're talking about the traffic calming?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like there's been a light removed, so they'll keep going. There are situations, we're coming out of Winthrop, where if you're on the Davenport side, you can't turn left. And if you're on the Navy Point side, you can't turn left to go north, because the way they got it, based on the drawings.
I'll go back and look, I don't think that's right.
There were several like that where.
All of those major intersections are gonna have, potentially stamping. I don't think that's correct, but I'll go back and look, I don't think that's right.
But, you know, again, where the light is, there's currently a light at Winthrop, and that's gone.
No, that's not. I don't
Based on the drawing, it appeared to be that way, but.
Okay, I'll go back and look, I don't think that's correct.
I like the roundabout at the bridge,
Okay.
to maybe slow the guys down under 100 miles an hour coming out of the base. I think some of them, depending on what time of the day or night that they come out of there, I hope they're prepared for those, that cut to the right and back to the left. Or they're gonna be
But those
over
have
curves
been, those
and
appears to
everything
have
else.
been removed. The
They're
shifts in the
mild.
roadway have been changed.
Max wanted to do that. Like, can I tell you a little bit about that? So that when we did those on the state did those on Cervantes, a lot of people didn't like that. So when it came up, you know, that's a lot longer than what South Navy Boulevard is. And, but they pushed for those little deviants because they do slow people down drastically. So I think there's 2 still in there. But they're very, very mild.
Very mild.
But according to what the engineers are telling me, I'm not a traffic engineer, the stamping of the concrete slows you down. They have good studies on that.
Speed bumps don't slow people down.
Well, we can't put speed bumps on that road.
I know that, but I'm saying our speed bumps don't slow people down, so I'm not sure stamping's gonna have.
Yeah, I've got one in front of my house, and people use it as a jump all day long.
Right, well, there's good
It's
studies
so
on.
bad, we have scorecards, I kid you not, just to make them aware we're watching.
Yeah, but I think with this gentleman, what you said is that the roundabout should help, you know, a little bit. And then with what they're telling me, the average speed coming out of the base right now is 48 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And I've actually I was talking to Bill and you about it just before.
Talking about me getting past in the school zone for
Yeah.
Catholic schools. Flash your lights and cover around me at 60
I'll
miles an
push
hour.
the sheriff's department a little bit more on it. They probably need to get more tickets.
I lay on my horn and yell at them if I can. I've been told not to follow anybody else on the base anymore.
Where's it at? Navy Boulevard, South Navy Boulevard, coming off the bridge where the base property ends, and then it's on.
I know that the unit I'm in, community policing, is concentrating on the school zones right now. I don't know where the traffic
The
is.
school zone in front of St. John's
St.
Catholic
John's,
School
maybe.
right here.
Yeah,
It's gonna be in full uniform, they'll come blow, they'll pull out behind you.
yeah, we
and
can
bash
work
you.
that also, cause we're working all right now, and I've only got 4 officers in our unit, so we're kind of limited on what we're doing, what we can do.
But if you could hit that one, and I'll
Yeah.
ask cops too, that would maybe give these people a little bit of relief. Yes, ma'am.
Well, they need to be out at 4 a.m. in the morning, about 3:45, they're racing. I almost got hit twice.
At that time of
And I
the
called
morning?
for a unit and no one showed up.
You called the sheriff's department?
Yes, no one showed up.
When you pull out on a green light, someone was just T-boned. It's because of that block wall that's on the corner. You can't see either direction. You know, both cars aren't able to see each other, and when they're racing, it causes a T-bone accident.
All right, he heard it, I'll talk with the sheriff and his deputies and say, can we have some surveillance? Ask them, I can't make them do it, but I can tell them your concerns and I will. Yes, sir.
Is that street a state highway?
It is.
So can't we have troopers out there too?
You could, but the Florida Highway Patrol does not have that many troopers if you've been out there.
Yeah, y'all probably don't realize it, but they pulled some of the troopers out of this area to send them down to South Florida.
Yeah, there's not many. I used to work with one, Master Chief Kafka, that went over there and he went to his retirement. I didn't realize how slim there was in the highway patrol, so they're much more on the highways than they are.
They tried to dump accident investigations back on us, and the sheriff said no.
Well, we can ask about that as well, but I don't think that's a good option, and I think we'd agree. I don't know if that'd work. But anyways.
One more on that, South Navy. So what's the plan? I mean, we're gonna have this beautiful colored paving, crosswalks and plantings and stuff. What's the plan for the structures that border Navy that are horrendous?
Well, I'm taking them down one at a time, haven't you seen? I mean, we've got Marcello's down, the gas station at Winthrop, we've got this thing that Van Horn's took down, the Suburban Lodge is coming down, I got Checkers going to Magistrate Court. I'm taking them down as fast as I can, man. But I gotta go through Magistrate to do it. So, you know, that gas station, I gotta work on that next, but trust
Well,
me.
you got a blue building on South too. They just took the tree off the roof that's been.
That blue building that looks like a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been cited by code a few times and gotten compliance.
Yeah.
So that one is one of the properties that has gotten compliance, so that's a little bit more difficult. I know that one, because the Baileys have brought that to my attention at least 5 times.
It's in compliance?
I don't know what it is right now, but they've been cited, gotten compliance, so as soon as they get cited, they usually get in compliance pretty quick, but if it's out of compliance, what is it, overgrowth, or what are you saying?
They're hauling in, old RVs that they're
Okay.
demoing, they got
that.
about 4 boats in there that don't even have motors on them they're trying to sell. It's basically.
I'll drive by and
salvage
take a
yard.
look. Okay.
It's a salvage yard. And you've got a couple of the elements that hang out over in our neighborhood and probably ride the bike that you saw. I saw him going in there this morning,
Into that building?
into that building. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's evidently.
I'll just
Yeah,
say,
but
it goes
okay.
from Jones Swamp to Suburban Lodge, to Checkers, to Marcello's, to the Blue, I mean, it's a revolving door. And code goes out, and then some citizens will call if they see drug activity or something going on. We go into Suburban Lodge twice a week now, and there's everything you could imagine going on in there. So, I mean, drug activity, everything under the sun. So, yeah, Bill?
The speed on Navy, that we said the average speed is 45, what is that based on?
48.
It's 40, they did, the HDR did the study when they were doing the traffic study for the whole.
Cause I don't know, is Ronnie Rivera, do you work with that? Cause then we've got the speed thing in Navy Point that we've tested it out, and I personally am fine with it moving to Navy. Cause talking about the school zone, what a lot of people don't realize, the school zone is to the south of Sunset. But at Sunset, if there's a light there, it's off, and you're still in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. So the speed thing that keeps track of the speed in Navy Point, put it on Navy and let them see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on Southeast Circle for a month now. So
Well, I think I was telling you this, when I was actually out on the base, when I was in OSC at the clinic out there years ago, this problem came up all the time. And the base CO would send out an email to all the tenant commands and say, tell your crew to slow the hell down when they're leaving the base. And we muster everyone up on Fridays and say, hey, be good citizens, don't speed off the base. That doesn't mean they do it, you know. I mean, but it does, I can tell you, I can assure you that conversation, and I will reach out to Mama-san, the new CO, and say, hey, do this for me, send it out to all the tenant commands and ask them to put out a blast to slow down when they leave the base. Then you guys gotta help me after they get out. But that's easy for me to do that. I'm shoving no problem to do that, and I'll bring it up to MAC next month as well. Now, if they do anything with it, all I can tell you is I can emphasize it. Yes, sir.
Repercussions of his own basis for years, Virginia, Norfolk. throw a couple tickets on somebody, that word gets out a lot faster than coming in telling you that.
Oh, if it was on the
Yeah.
base, I used to be the traffic judge at
Why not
White.
run off the base? I'll fall and pass off the bridge. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
got places you can set up right there. You got 1 or 2 tickets going in the morning or an afternoon, that gets around the base.
Oh, no, they have to go to traffic
Without
court on base, I know.
presentation and no accountability, but it's that.
I'll ask her about that, that's simple, I mean, cause they still have traffic court on the base, and if you go and you get a speeding ticket, depending on what the case is, they can revoke your privileges to drive on the base. So, you must have been prior military, I'm assuming, cause, yeah, so you know how that works, I know this very well, so. That one I can take for action, and then hopefully you can help me a little bit with the sheriff's department, I'll call them as well. Okay, South Navy Boulevard, okay, let's talk about the project now. So the project itself, I think, is gonna be very beneficial to both Davenport and Navy Point and the area as a whole. We've got about $3 million, we're gonna go after some restore dollars. Tim's working on that right now to fund the rest of it, and we're gonna ask the state delegation tomorrow night. We won't be there because I'll be at the budget meeting, but Chris Dawson's putting our list together to see if they can support us as well. So I think we're gonna be okay on the funding on this. I think we're good, and if not, I have a couple other options, but I think we're gonna be okay on that.
What's the total budget?
We haven't got the final numbers yet, but sorry, I hate to say it, but it could be, let's just say 10 million. It could be anywhere from 8 to 12 million is the swag. So, but that's what I was told up front, but the whole thing will come out, and then we'll have to go out for procurement and everything, but that's what I've been told, it's gonna be in that range, so. And then the park down at the end, did y'all see what they're gonna do with the green space?
Yeah.
So they're gonna put a few things in there, and hopefully we'll have some green space with a little bit of, there was a developer, which some of you may have known, Scott Jackson was really working hard. We can't sell that. The Navy, basically bought that from, a citizen, and that has to be green space for forest protection reasons, so.
The county bought it and
I know.
gave it to the Navy.
Yeah, and so,
Transfer.
but anything that we would do on that property has to be approved by CNIC, and that was the agreement, so it's gonna stay green space. So that, and I think that's a good thing, because we'll be able to have some waterfront space there, a park, and so hopefully that'll turn out to be nice. Okay, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Is there a estimate on when that project could start, if it gets
Good
funded?
question.
Yeah, so when we gotta get the restore funding. I'm hoping, I'm very zealous, but you know, government works slow and the staff always they slow down, but I'm hoping we can get something started within the year. I mean, it's my goal, after we get the design and go out, and then we've got some of the funding, but I gotta secure a little bit more before I can go forward with it. So if I got it off the ground within a year, I'd feel good about that. And I think they move pretty quick for most of the projects around there. Okay, can we go to White Island? Have we got any more questions on that? Okay, so White Island, oh boy. So this is a $35 million project. I just want to go over this again, that the county's put in about $60,000. There's been a lot of concern, especially in your area, Bio Davenport, of flushing out. We've probably had 10 different meetings with all kinds of different people on this. So Tim and Chips know, and I know Frank, I'll just put his name out there. If you know him, you know him. If you don't, I know him and Chips are like this. But Tim Day understands, and I've worked with the Souls very closely on increasing that passageway coming out of Bio Davenport. So if you haven't noticed this last week, the dredging companies have moved that over as we've requested it, so which was a big deal. So they're pumping that area out to make this huge area, through that area to make it a more wide open space. So we did listen to you at the Warrington revitalization meeting. I'm not a marine engineer, but that's the first thing. We have about $1 million of vegetation that's gonna go in there. The other problem that we're dealing with, which would have to come back to the board because of the price tag, is that the original Volker that's working through this subcontractor, Gator, that's doing most of the engineering work, I can't remember what the last name is, the $881,000 savings, which they wanna pump more sand out, that can't just happen. That cannot just happen, that has to come back to the board. You can't, that's a lot of money. So, and we're not even sure at this point, now they're working with us, with Tim Day, and I think we've got a good relationship, but the staff and natural resources know that money is, if we do have extra money, there was concern by, and I'll just say the Souls, was that the rock placement around the island wasn't enough. We have a lot of rock, so there's a lot of moving parts on this at this point still, but the project's on track. On the, I don't know if you guys know this, but on the other side of the base, they're working on the B and C, phase B and C right now. I understand there's no houses over there, but the main concern that most people have is in phase A, right, White Island. But the project's supposed to be done by December, and I think we've had almost everyone's concerns that has changed from the Warrington revitalization. A couple more things, we gotta see what the, the flush that comes out of Bob Davenport will be enough, but Tim's telling me he thinks that we'll have enough space at this point, so I gotta trust the guys that do this for a living, yes.
And a little bit more specific good news is, if I'm understanding right, after that meeting, Tim assigned them a profile for the dredge, right?
No, here's what happened. I met with Peter Doyle and John Soul Jr. John Soul Jr., which is an engineer, and had multiple meetings with him and his dad. They sent me a diagram. I got all of us on a phone call together, gave that diagram to Tim, and then he took what Mr. Soul Jr. had asked, went back to the contractor, and that's how it happened. So yes,
Which
he
is
did,
great,
but.
which is great, because it's actually a specific area now, instead of giving them that latitude to just be like, oh, here's where you can go.
Well, I want
It's
everyone
really
to
good
know that we
outcome.
did listen, and we
Yeah.
went back and I pushed the staff really hard. And then, we're going back with some people that are a lot smarter, that are engineers that do this stuff for a living. So I feel better about it. I know Frank and Chips are still at war, but I think that some of the other folks that live around there, I know Keith and some of the other folks that are very engaged in this, feel a little bit better about the project now. So we'll see. But if there's something else that comes up, please just bring it to my attention, and I'll go back and try to get everyone and see if it's right or wrong. But I feel like, I think we're going in the right direction for what people wanted now. So we'll see. So, Myrtle Grove, I know it's not here, but we're moving forward. That CRA, that's gonna be a big win. Library, I'm planning on moving forward with that. The school board's supposed to vote the next meeting to give us that property on 57th and Lillian. And then we do have the money from that to develop a library in Myrtle Grove, and so I can move with that very quickly. So that'll be faster than South Navy Boulevard, because in the MST, they have over $7 million, and it won't cost that much. So I know it's not directly here, but Myrtle Grove is very similar to our community and some of the issues that we have. Okay, I wanted, does
You
any
mentioned
questions?
library, so I was gonna bring up the fire station and assessment.
I got that on my list.
Okay.
I saved the fun stuff for last, so I can jump out of it. Library. Actually, so tomorrow night is the budget meeting. All right, so I'm gonna tell you where I think about stuff. So I bought mine, I know everyone got it, the non-ad alarms. $226.78 will be for everyone. Then we have the budget hearing. I spent a good portion of the day today with Stefan Hall. The county's taken $10 million a year out of the general fund to pay for fire. I am never gonna raise the millage tax, but there's no way we can continue to fund the government, or the fire part of the government, taking that kind of money out. So I look at the other taxes that are going up, and I get it, it hurts for everyone, right? I look at my own taxes. If you look at the local school board with the 1.5 millage, it's gonna be about $200 for me. If you look at the state millage that's going up for school, it's gonna be like $40. Water's going down, sheriff's department's only going up about $6, the MST for sheriff's only going up for me about $6. The library's going up $3. Children's Trust for me is going up about $36, about $150 a month. This is too much. I get it, it's too much. I am telling you right now, I'm going to put the Children's Trust, if you like it, great. If you don't like it, doesn't matter, but I'm putting it back on the ballot next year if I can get 2 other commissioners to vote for it. It is not a fair tax. And it's not fair to us. The majority of the funds are going into the city. They didn't even have a program at Warrington Middle until I called them out on it. It's just not fair. And it's not that I'm against it, but I mean, the school board just in their ad valorem, I need to make sure everyone understands this, that we'll add the 1.5 millage, we'll bring an additional $50 million into the school, and the ECT will bring in another 25 million. I mean, that's all, and my wife works in the school district. I'll take my arrows, but at the same time, the county's raising the taxes for the whole county $60 for, like, on mine. That's not that much when the school board and the ECT's raising it like 250. I mean, so I don't mind taking it, but I get it. But I gotta support fire. When I ran, everyone told me firefighters didn't get paid enough. We haven't had a new fire department in District 2 in 50 years. I'm getting 2 for you guys. 2. In Little League and Pleasant Grove, and they're both probably in the worst shape of any, and this one here is not much better shape. But those 2 are actually in worse shape, if you can believe it or not. And so, for me, I think that's a fair tax. But yes, sir.
It's a little late now because of all the massive building growth we've had here.
Impact fees.
What about impact fees?
Like
we're creating jobs, impact fees stifle jobs. It's like, who's working and how long? Once D.R. Horton puts another $800
I'm not completely opposed to impact
$1,000 on
fees.
every home would have funded this for the next 50 years.
You know what, I'll be honest with you, I went in the Lord 2.5 years, but that's come up, and the home builders seem to have had a strangle, no one's wanted to take it on, and I am open to that. I will tell you, I'm open to that. I'm not bought by anyone. I think in the new communities, that those are very common across the country where you have impact fees, developed infrastructure. It has never been common in Escambia County, ever.
Look at Orange County, Orlando, Metro West, and they put that in the 80s. Because of the size of that planned urban development, they had to build, the developer had to build a high school, a junior high school, and a middle school.
You know, the board may be open to that now. I don't know, we haven't had that discussion, but maybe that's a good Cal discussion.
What about DeSantis's executive order against it? Was that just for a certain percentage up from the baseline, or what? I mean,
I'm not
where did
prepared
he ever
to talk
land
about,
on that?
I don't know the answer to that, Mel. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not prepared to answer that because I just don't know the extent of how it would affect. But I do think if you're developing in a new community, you know, and some people, but I'm not for impact fees. If you have a piece of land in Navy Point, now if it's not connected to sewer, I think you should have to, pay for the sewer if you're not, if you don't do it in a town like PCUA. But I don't think in a developed neighborhood where there's just a lot that someone's gonna develop, I'm not sure, I think, because most of the infrastructure is already developed. If it's a plot just in an old neighborhood, but a whole new brand neighborhood where we have to do all the infrastructure, I think you should.
Pleasant Landing would be a good example, impact fees there would cover.
Where now?
Oh,
yeah,
60
well,
townhouses
that's
there would
a
cover
good
the whole
example.
neighborhood, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good
$1,000.
example. Maybe that would have been a good one, you're right. I was just thinking of a single family home.
And then not mention where the door built, heading east, on the other east of, back here behind us, they put those 6 houses on, where 2 houses used to stand.
Well, I will tell you, I have a couple options that I've talked to them. Obviously, I think everyone knows I support CRAs. But the legislature's going, and this is why I'm going to this, the legislature's going after CRAs too, which I really hope they don't take those away. But I do think the percentage of the CRA, it shouldn't be over 75%. And the city's got a 95.5 on every one of theirs. Nobody believes the downtown is not doing well. We lose $7 million from the county, from the city now in the downtown CRA. I mean, that shouldn't be a CRA. They have to send some criteria where the CRAs are fair and whatever the ratio is, but in my personal mind, they should not be above 75%. That's one of the reasons I'm pushing back on Baptist, because there's multiple reasons. I'll talk about that. And I want to move into that unless you want to talk about MSPs for a second. Let me talk about Baptist and I'll open up for public forum. When I was on the health authority, Baptist came in. I know Baptist has done a lot of great things for our community. But I also want to tell you something. They've not been honest on this. Not at all. They came to the health authority, and I can march every single health authority board member up there. We're going to take care of that property. At that time, I was the treasurer of the board. And guess what? You don't have to worry about it. We're going to sell it all. We'll take care of it. In the Teffer hearing, which I voted for, all the board members there did, and all the commissioners did after we recommended to them, in that, on Marino Court, they were eligible for $925 million. And with just the Marino project, they were gonna put up to $50 million. They've put in $3 million, and they've sold one piece of property for $2.8 million. There is no way I can put that on you guys. They should have done their job. It's just not fair. And so then they came to the board, the county, before I was county commissioner in 22, our board voted on that TEFRA report. They went back and they built a brand new beautiful hospital for $678 million, and they abandoned their property. They immediately went over to the legislature, got $7 million of our money, said we need this money to get rid of this because it's blight. Then they went to the city put in $1 million out of the West Side Sierra, which I'm fine with that. That's exactly because they get 95% back. So on an average year, and these are swag numbers, the city in the West Side Sierra gets about $1.5 million, and we get about 90,000. The county gets 90,000 in that same CRA. I'm all for using their CRA for abatement. Next year they'll get 1.6 million. But here's the thing, the county cannot keep taxing the citizens of the county when Baptist should have taken care of their property. They should have. And here's the thing, I got one more thing, no, then I'll say, this last February, they came back to me and the county, and I almost didn't do this, but they all came in and said, can you fund us for 40 more million in bonds so we can retransfer our thing? And I said, Casey, if you do 40 more million, I don't want to hear about Baptist property anymore. So the board voted for 40 more million. Guess what happened 60 days later? We need $2 million. Come on, this isn't even fair. And I will stand in front of everyone and tell this story over and over and over. It's not fair. So if anyone's upset with me, but I don't think I'm gonna be voting for any money going to Baptist. And that's the reason why.
So, Mike, total agreement, if you think this is bad, you should have seen how they raped us during COVID. And you should really, we'll talk sometime about how they're working their indigent care contract. No fan of Baptist, but we have a chance to get some health care there, and the pissing contest with DC is at $500,000. I get it, you're saying out of principle, just no. Can you then cut the city out, since they did, quite frankly, such a piss poor job?
I tried.
Of Running Point, and go to Baptist and get those 3 buildings?
I can answer that right now. I've already started working that this week. So Wes met with
Can't
Casey.
you leverage the illegality on the TEFRA bond? It was illegal what they did, right? I mean.
It wasn't illegal.
Yeah,
It wasn't illegal, but it was a hoodwink.
Right.
It was unfair what they did. Because they gave the image that they were gonna take care of it. As soon as they got the deal, they underdid it, and then they went to the state and asked for money, and they got $7 million. Look, just conceptualize this. What board, what business in this district would, just think of the precedent. The precedent alone, if we start bailing out businesses, we can't do that. I mean, no matter how good they are, we're gonna bail out Joe Patty's, Navy Federal. I mean, I can't do it. And I have probably more ties, pretty close. I did my preceptorship at Baptist. I love Baptist. But I can't believe a board would have thought that it should be our responsibility to abate their property. And they said they'd take care of it. And they know they said they could take care of it. And Mark Faulkner would just like me to shut up about that, you know, when I was on the health authority. But the fact is, he knows I was on that board, and that board knows the facts, and unfortunately, those are the facts. So, but I want to answer your question. So Wes met with them after our last board meeting, the very next day, and Baptist said no on the buildings. So that even adds more. So I don't know where Commissioner May's going to be. So Wes said, nope, they can't do it.
They said no unless we do the 500,000 on the demo.
They didn't even say the.
Now they're just saying no.
I was never told by Wes.
Because you were mean to us.
Well, I was never told the 500,000, but I will tell you this: there's 500,000 in abatement that could have been used out of environmental stuff that's in neighborhood services. I'm not gonna lose any sleep if there's 3 votes on that. I probably won't be one of them, but I'm not gonna lose any sleep on it. But just because the principle to me now has gotten ridiculous. But if they will do that, no, that's fine.
Yeah, but they would have to be in writing, and it
They're not
sounds
going
like
to.
they're
They're
not.
not going to.
If it's not in writing, they're not gonna do it, period.
No,
anyway.
so that'll be, not tomorrow, but the next week, that topic will come up and we'll see where we land and, and we'll go through that. But I don't know I hope you guys understand where I am on that. I just don't think it's fair.
We got about 10 minutes left.
Okay. I won't talk about, I already told you about ECT, we talked about the budget. All right, let's do questions. Does that sound good? Yeah.
Lisa, bring up yours and go for it.
Yeah, I have a concern, and to me, it kind of seems, it doesn't seem real for one. So I've actually, I've owned my house for 12 years, but I never lived there, right? So I just moved in this last year. I did have the sewer done. I paid all the fees and all that kind of stuff and connected to the sewer. I get my bills every month. They come in, I get a notice and email, hey, you owe this much money. I say, okay, and I pay it, on time, in full every month. All right, so this has been going on all this last year. Well, 2 weeks ago, they came and they emptied my trash, and I went on a walk with my dog, and I came back and I was like, where's my trash can?
This is ECUA.
Oh, yeah, and I walked up and down the street looking for my trash can, so I called him, I said, hey, somebody stole my trash can. Yeah, somebody stole my trash can, and they're like, yeah, nobody stole it, we took it. I'm like, excuse me? They're like, well, you haven't paid your bill. I said, excuse me? I said, I pay my bill every month, on time, in full, what are you talking about? And they said, well, you haven't paid for the last year, you need to back pay us $450. I said, that's not gonna happen. And I said, well, if I haven't been paying you for my trash, because they're like, they mentioned the bill, and I said, in all honesty, I said, I get an email that tells me I owe this much, I flag the email. When I sit down to pay my bills, I get the email, I get the amount, I put it in, I pay it, I delete it.
So
I
is it
said, I don't know
administrative error, or what, I mean?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't go out and itemize the bill. How many
So
bags
you
of trash?
need to
how
talk
many
to
boots?
Lois or Bruce Woody.
Well, I went out to ECUA, and I talked to, somebody else, and then the supervisor, and then whatever. The lady,
I'll give you a card. If you've paid your bill, I'll take care
well,
of it
there's a
tomorrow.
Gabe, what's his name? He sent me a mandatory service area of service, section 82-172, that says I have to pay my trash bill. Okay, his name's Gabriel Brown, he's the director of customer service. And I told him, I said, if I wasn't paying my bill, if I wasn't paying it on day one, month one I didn't pay, you should have took my trash can. Why are you gonna wait a whole year to take it?
Well, ma'am, you're saying you paid it, so I think we can get this
Well, I'm paying my
resolved.
bill. I don't know if I paid trash or if I paid sewer or what I paid. Because I can't log in because they switched to a new system. So even though they've had my email for all these years, I can't log in. So I told them when I went up there, I said, you will from now on give me a paper bill. Even if I have to pay for a paper bill, I'm gonna be one of those old people, you're gonna bring it to me, or it's gonna come in the mail, and I'm gonna scrutinize it. How many
I'll
times
try
did
to
I
help
flush
you.
that toilet? How many times how many bags of trash did I have? Because the thing of it is, they didn't send me an email, they didn't send me postal mail, they didn't put a door hanger on my door, nor did they put a sticker on my trash can or take the trash can, and now they're telling me, well, if we provided you service, you have to pay for it. Well, I don't have any of the bills. I've been paying my bill. Now, I can't prove that I've been paying ECU every month on time. I can do that, right?
So are you gonna get her in touch with Lois? or-
Well, I'm gonna give you my card. If you email it to me at my district to my Escambia, I will forward it to Miss Benson and Bruce and say, can someone look in administrative?
Yeah, because they said,
Because
well,
I don't know how to
difference.
answer
You
you.
can
If
pay,
you're paying your
you can pay
bill.
$225 and we'll split it. I said, no, that is poor management on your behalf, because I have not been paying it. Because like I said, I pay my bill, but I did connect to the sewer. At that time, my bill went up, and so I don't know what I'm paying for, I just pay it.
And
So-
she wasn't the only one.
Right.
No,
There were,
lots of them.
there were other people
Yeah.
too. They happened.
Lots of them.
Maybe, I know you should, maybe you should ask Lois Benson to come next month. I mean, I take a lot of ECA here.
But anyhow, so they told me that.
And I don't know how to answer this, ma'am, because I don't know how to. Jensen or Bruce, Bruce is like the administrator for ECUA, and Lois is usually pretty good about getting back to you if I send it to her, so I'll try to connect the dots for you.
Yeah, cause I'm like, yeah, this is injustice, and then they told me that I had to go with them, and I thought, that's like monopoly, that's something else, and I called the dump, and they said, oh yeah, you can bring it out if you want. But then they sent me an ordinance saying, no, you have to use us. I mean, I gladly will pay trash, no problem.
Lois Benson will take care of it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Really will.
We'll figure out why you don't, what's going on there. Okay, sir.
I had a question, and I want to do this because I wanted to get him out of here, but I'm a person of tangible items. I don't like to bring stuff up unless we've got a real issue with it.
Okay.
Former EMS, worked for City and County of Honolulu, worked military. I understand a lot about how dispatch works, and I want to bring up this thing about making phone calls into the sheriff or 911.
Yep.
August 26th, prime example, I was the guy that, when it came down here and chased down 2 officers to bring them up there to the incident we had at Walmart. So, this is another bike stolen on the Navy Point. We called, actually the girlfriend found the bike, made a call to 911, we were up there for 45 minutes. I saw officers come out here, and I got my truck and get down here, rallied them, and they met us up there. The bike
Well,
was,
that would be a question for these guys, but I think it's, I think I already know the answer. It's dependent on what's being triaged at the time, correct?
I get that, that's where I'm going with
Oh,
this,
okay.
so, yes. So, I get the point, it's accessibility to what your resources are, 100%, I've dealt with that in my life. The problem I have is, years ago, and this is not just a one-off thing, this has happened multiple times. I watched somebody break into my neighbor's house, I was on the phone with dispatch 3 separate times, they never sent anybody out of the house. I got Mike Thompson, this was about 6 years ago, I got Mike Thompson involved, I'm sure everybody knows Mike in the neighborhood.
Yep.
He got up the chain of command and I had people showing up at my house the next day. The calls were recorded, 3 calls, and we literally walked them out of the house. I had a pistol I was sitting on my front porch, we didn't know where they were gonna end up going. It is problematic, and who's triaging? And so what we found out was there's a desk officer that just said, you know, it's not a big deal, just move on. You had guys up here, I know the bike was simple, I really get this, but we saw vigilante law last week, prime example. People gonna get hurt.
Oh, I know.
We got neighbors right now, and everybody's gun happy right now, everybody's got bad happy, and I understand it's hard to police everything, and you're trying to do that. But without that policing to some levels, then we got that vagrant. My house sits on the waterfront, I live right next to Pat. It's a thoroughfare, Gulf Beach Highway, that's the cut-in, everybody sneaks through that area. I've got 12 cameras around my house, and at least once or twice a week I find somebody popping a handle.
What's your name?
Timothy, you've been at my house before.
I know where you live,
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember your name. Let me tell you what I did when I renegotiated the sheriff's contract. So when we did that this year, and I did that with the sheriff and the county administrator, I hear this all the time. So I told Chip, I said, people want more policing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we want more policing. So we negotiated 24 more new deputies to police over the next 3 years. 8 a year, they'll come out of the academy. Now I don't know if that's gonna solve the problem or not, but we will be adding more policing staff, and that's in the contract. But you're talking about dispatch, right?
I think, yeah, what I worry about most is bottlenecking, and I've been there.
Can I respond real quick?
Sure.
Let me give you a pro tip. Okay, I hear you, understand what you're saying. So for one thing, I wouldn't call 911, I'd skip that.
Yeah, it wouldn't, I said, but yeah.
So it's 9620 or 436-9620, that gets you straight to dispatch. So you cut out the time with 911. And then we do triage everything, and I understand you realize, the resources and, you know, the seriousness of it. And so if you say, send a deputy, if you use those words, those are magic words.
Okay.
We have to come. So we can't triage it back in the group of people who didn't say send a deputy. Now, if you say there's a gunfight in the street, you don't say send a deputy, well, we're coming in.
Sure.
Okay? But if it's something that can be triaged back in the staff a bit, and you don't say send a deputy, it's gonna get triaged back in the staff. In Florida, not Hawaii, I don't know, it's different there, I'm sure. But in Florida, when you call any police agency and you say send them, we're coming.
Yeah.
And then always say, I want contact, either by phone or in person. You can say, I want contact by phone.
Yeah.
Then they'll call you up and let you know what they did. So A, they'll come, B, they'll let you know what they did. As far as the response time, that can vary. But you stand the best chance of speeding it up by saying, send a deputy and I want contact.
So how do you get that word to everybody in the community? And the reason being, we have a hard
Through
enough time, I
neighborhood
know,
watch.
this is where the fun part. We have a hard enough time, I got neighbors that are constantly getting stuff stolen out of their house, but why didn't they report it? I don't know. Look, they depend, their funding depends on who called it.
Right, and when people don't report things,
Right.
we do what's called intelligence-led policing. Intelligence just being the reports we get, and so the more reports we get of a crime, the more police officers are assigned to an area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when people are not reporting everything, then they're just doing themselves a disservice. Also, even if they're sure, A, the crime will not get solved, B, they ain't getting their stuff back. If they do report it, a police officer will come to their home and most likely whoever did it, the perpetrator, will spot it. So if they're not getting reported, then the bad guys are just perpetuating a soft target environment. The bad guys see, oh, nobody's calling, I'll just keep on, doing whatever mayhem I want. If you don't call, you're setting yourself up, not you, but the person who doesn't call is setting themselves up to be the next victim.
So how
I'll
does that-
talk to them about
how
this,
does
and I'm
that
sure
work
you
with-
guys will mention
Yeah,
it.
the problem
There was
is,
two separate calls when I got the guys here, I did y'all get it, nobody missed back, we're just sitting down here, they were both sitting here. You know what I mean, it's if two people did, two separate phone calls happened, and you got two officers sitting here, they were
So we
occupied.
can only respond or try to like post-mortem one incident at a time or like separately. But if you're unhappy in real time with the response of the agency or the deputies, or why didn't they, and then you fill in the gap after that.
Sure.
Always call back and ask to speak to a patrol supervisor,
Okay.
either a sergeant or a lieutenant, because they're the ones responsible for these people you're expecting to show up, and have them explain why they didn't show up.
And I think that's what I want to try to help our community with, because I think a lot of people are quick to talk about the officers when they have no involvement in it. They're busting their ass, they're working every which way they can, but also you got somebody at a higher level not getting the word to things. And so that's where my whole point was.
Tim, I'll talk to them about, hopefully you guys, and some of the questions I have tonight, I'm just a liaison for you guys as your commissioner, but I hear what you're saying. Ma'am, you had a question?
Well, we do have some of the policing coming through the neighborhood in Navy Point, and they have the bicycles, because we talked
Yes.
about that before.
I saw that.
I have never seen one riding a bicycle.
They were telling me today there was bicycle cops running through Navy.
Yeah, they're
Point.
coming out, but they're not riding the bicycles.
I have seen them.
I hadn't seen them, have anyone
Officer,
seen them on the
right?
bicycle?
About 3 months ago,
I was told by Hobbs today they're
one time.
riding bikes to Navy Point.
and they are,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are.
So that was one of the things I forgot to mention, but he did tell me that today, so.
I have seen them.
Have you seen them?
Yes, dear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by having a neighborhood watch, you establish not only a portal
No,
for
they're
crime
supposed
I've never
prevention
seen them, I
information,
see the
and
bicycles
for
on the cars when I'm
actionable
walking.
intelligence about how to
They're
report
just
stuff
riding
and
through the
get the
neighborhood.
response you want. But you actually do get more patrol because, for example, what do you do?
I drove the off neighborhood today,
Sorry, it's afternoon.
I came through about 3 o'clock.
And he came down Kailash.
Yep.
Okay, I'll take a couple more questions and then I'll stick around outside and as long as people want, okay? But I wanna wrap things up. I'll take 2 more, I wanna do a quick summary and then I'll stick around and answer any questions. Does that sound fair, everyone?
I
Okay.
just wanted to give the sheriff's department an attaboy on the bike thing. I disagree that they should be more out at Pensacola Beach, but that's a sheriff question. But we really do like to see them in the neighborhood and coming through the alleys and all of that. So an attaboy there for when they do it. We would always like them more, but,
Sergeant Rivkin is great. Great guy.
Mel, you want the last question?
No, but I mean, if somebody else can slide in after me quick, I just wanna confirm and let folks know if it is still the same, that you have started talking to county staff about the possibility of getting our park protected.
Oh, yeah, but I absolutely, so Mel's brought this up a few times, so I went to Tim Day to answer that. I know you guys are, I don't know if everyone is, but Mel's made a concern about Navy Point. There's no interest to do anything but beautify that park and keep it a park. As long as I'm the commissioner,
But
that's
that's,
gonna.
it's not for when you're commissioner, it's for when you leave. We need it
But Tim and
protected
legal-
under you.
I,
You've gotta
no,
help us
but I wanna
protect
share this,
it.
I went to Tim and, went to Allison and Tim, they said this isn't, I don't know, they didn't say it was necessary. So I don't know what you're asking me to do.
Tim specifically told me that this is absolutely the time, and when he was here at the watch meeting, He confirmed that a
Okay.
previous
I'll have a call with you and
administrator-
Tim to understand, cause I think we
Yeah.
had a different conversation.
Forget Allison, Allison doesn't
Yeah.
wanna do the work of it.
Well, I have no interest in keeping that anything but a Navy Point Park, and it's a beautiful park.
Right, which is why we need your help for whatever bozo we may get after you. That we need a good commissioner.
Okay, I'll talk to
help
Tim
us.
again. I promise I had 2 conversations on this,
Okay.
so I'll have another one, but I was told that.
He's the one that told me this is the time we need to try to get it done.
Maybe I'm confused.
Probably because Allison is leaning on it. Yes.
All right, thank you all. I appreciate all the comments. I'll try to get some answers for you.